Hi everyone, I'm here with Sun Lim from the Singapore Management University, and today we're going to be talking about diversity, equity and inclusion, or DE&I. To start with though, Sun, how are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Before we get into the topic, could you introduce yourself to our audience quickly?
Certainly. So it's been my privilege to have been a professor for over 20 years now. I currently wear a university leadership hat as Vice President for Partnerships and Engagement, where I oversee international relations, our overseas centers, industry engagement, and innovation and entrepreneurship. For my academic hat, I'm the Lee Kong Chian Professor of Communication and Technology. I've conducted extensive research on the social impact of technology, looking at how families and young people engage with technology for better and for worse. At the same time, I've definitely started doing intensive work on the issues around AI ethics as well as the future of work.
To start with, there's been a lot of news recently about DE&I, specifically several large companies scaling back or completely removing their initiatives. Despite this, why do you think diversity, equity, and inclusion is still so important?
Indeed, I'm glad you addressed that issue around all of these disappointing developments around big companies dismantling their DEI programs, obviously, in the face of political pressure. And I think that while it was very disappointing, it was heartening to see the uproar and the protests against these developments because people do feel that DEI programs have made a difference in terms of making organizations much more sensitive to the need to uplift people of diverse genders, to ensure better representation, to ensure that workplace practices are fair to both women and men, and also to create a culture of respect and a culture that really uplifts everyone equally. So I do feel that DEI is not just a matter of some guidelines and good to have. It's something that organizations do see as empowering their teams. It's something that organizations have seen translates into stronger teams with more multifaceted perspectives, with policies and products and services that address the broad the expanse of humanity rather than just serving the needs of one gender per se.
Despite the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's important in driving innovation and solving issues like the skill shortage. The percentage of women in tech has been hovering around 27% for years now, with fewer still in leadership positions. So, what can organizations and industries do to truly and effectively improve the percentage of women and underrepresented people in the workforce?
So I would see this as an issue at every stage of the journey of, say, a woman in tech. So when we look at young women in schools, are they actually taking enough courses? Are they taking the right degree programs that will prepare them to be well suited for a career in tech? Are they, for example, shying away from courses in STEM programs like engineering, computing, because they haven't seen enough role models? Or that they've been discouraged by their families to take on these STEM and tech oriented courses. So that's one thing that organizations can do to, for example, have more internship programs or bring your daughters to work programs to open their eyes of young girls and women to a career in tech and what it means to be a woman working in the tech space. So that's in the school profile. What can we do in the upstream recruitment phase? And then, of course, when we think about young women who then join tech companies or who take on tech roles, Are they sufficiently mentored within the workplace so that they remain competitive, so that they are able to keep up with their male peers in terms of not just acquiring the most in demand competencies, but also in terms of profiling themselves and their abilities so that they get the best opportunities to shine?
Okay, so you've mentioned a lot of things that organizations could be doing, but could you point to anything specific at the Singapore Management University in terms of DE&I initiatives?
Thank you for that question. So yes, at SMU, we do take DEI very seriously, and we established importantly the Gender Equity Task Force, and this task force was constituted by employee volunteers who did the diligent work of reviewing some of our policies to ensure that gender equity was advanced. Some of these policies included, for example, the tenure clock extension policy for faculty who are on the tenure track, so that if they have had children, that they have their tenure clock extended so they have a longer runway by which to prove their academic achievements. And then, of course, we've had workload adjustment policies for those who have just had newborns. And besides that, we have empowered our managers to champion equity, and we have upskilled everyone in terms of developing and conducting robust training programs on fair recruitment, interview, and performance assessment processes. And these are all really important ways by which we don't just talk about gender equity, we actually orchestrate it through very concrete structures, through very transparent policies.
So, just looking at education now for a moment, can you explain the main trends and innovations that are reshaping the industry?
Thank you. I do feel that education as a sector is at a very interesting crossroads. I think we have seen, for example, the explosion of generative AI platforms on the scene that have created interesting challenges, but also presented new opportunities in terms of how people learn. So, with regard to technology enhanced personalized learning, I think we do see a lot of new innovations that can help people craft rather interesting learning journeys where they can engage in self directed learning, where they can use different kinds of AI driven platforms in order to learn in effective ways and in ways that speak to their own strengths and capabilities.
You're also a former winner of the Asia Women Tech Leaders Award. Can you explain why events like these are so important in championing diversity in tech?
Absolutely. So when I was invited to the awards ceremony, I was given the opportunity to invite a few guests to attend with me. And I made it a point to invite students from Singapore Management University, particularly female students who were part of the university's Women in Tech chapter. And it was a very deliberate choice on my part because I wanted these very promising young women to go to the awards ceremony with me to meet other awardees who were women who had distinguished themselves in tech leadership in diverse sectors, all the way from fintech to healthcare to academia to human resources and so on. And the reason is that when young women see these role models and they see how these women have been able to build very productive and rewarding careers in their respective realms, it gives them inspiration and it gives them that motivation that they too can strive towards similar achievements in their own space of expertise. And so I do feel such awards are not just about having a nice trophy to take home. It's also about building that community of women leaders who then share best practices.
Just finally, Do you have any advice for women who want to enter a career in technology?
I would say that if you want to enter a career in technology, that it's really critical to be ceaselessly curious because technology is changing and transforming so very rapidly. So if you've got that natural curiosity, you're always quite eager to try out new things, you're eager to engage with fresh ideas, but at the same time, you also continue to build up your foundational strengths and your foundational competencies, then that will actually stand you in good stead for a career in a tech role or in the tech industry.
Sun, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you. It's been a joy to chat with you.